On today's episode, why the most important part of any engineered product isn't the product. Today's episode is brought to you by Engineering.com, a globally trusted source for engineering content. Check out this and many other exclusive videos for the engineering professional found only on Engineering.com TV today. This is a Wi-Fi range extender. Now, it's a useful piece of hardware, and for me, it's intended to give me internet access to my garage so I can download repair manuals and how-to YouTube videos. It's compact, it doesn't draw much power, and it isn't expensive. What it isn't, however, is working in my garage, and the reason why I'm holding it here is to illustrate a critical point about engineering, and particularly consumer products engineering. The manufacturer of this product, I'm not going to name names because that's not my point here, offers 3 different ways to set this device up, which is excellent. There's a quick start guide, which is good, and the guide contains a QR code which opens a YouTube video which shows the installation, also good. But it isn't easy to install. This unit is probably very well engineered. The people that wrote the user manuals offer multiple ways to configure the device. And despite all that, it isn't plug and play, which means the installation instructions aren't just important, they're critical in determining the customer perception of the quality of the product even before it's in use. So am I happy with this device? Not right now. I'll configure it, and when it's working, I'll be glad of it, but I seriously doubt that I'm going to forget the feeling state generated by frustration in setting the device up. The reasons are split between hardware design and the way the user manuals are written. And here's a cool little example I really like. This is a copy of the familiarization manual used by John Glenn and the Mercury 7 astronauts to learn about their spacecraft in the late 50s and early 1960s. Fundamentally, the mission of Project Mercury is the projection of a manned capsule into semi-permanent orbit around the Earth, the study of man's capabilities in spaceflight, and the subsequent safe return of the capsule and its occupant to the Earth's surface. Now, obviously, an astronaut reading a technical manual about a spacecraft knows what a space capsule is for, but that's not the point. The introductory statement level sets expectations and clearly defines the overall goal of the hundreds of pages of technical documentation that follow. In 1959, it was simple. Lift a man into orbit and bring him safely back to Earth. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, for this device, the goal is simple. Let me access the internet in places where I can't access it now. Now, the manufacturer needs to say that. I get it, but there are a lot of people out there that don't know the difference between Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, for example, and don't understand the concept of daisy-chaining wireless devices either. The hardware itself, in this case, uses LEDs to let me know that it's powered and what its status is. But take a look at them. The LEDs are very tiny and they're at the bottom of the unit, and since standard American household receptacles are something like 1 foot off the ground, reading these LEDs means dropping to your knees. Now, you could, of course, invert the device, which isn't grounded, and insert it into the upper outlet. Then the order of the LEDs would be inverted relative to the installation instructions, and you can guess what confusion that would create for many users. The use of online manuals has saved manufacturers a lot of money in both printed material and in the packaging process, but the nature of online content is that there's no incentive for brevity or concise copy. The manufacturer of this gadget has done everything possible to offer alternative methods for configuring the product. It's also generated multiple pathways toward confusion and frustration, especially amongst less technically savvy users. Now, it's an art and a science to create user documentation that gets you out of the box and working with the fewest possible steps in the shortest possible time. McDonnell Aircraft Corporation and NASA managed to do it 65 years ago, so you would think it would be relatively easy for people that make consumer electronics or cars or flat-pack bookcases. Now, I expect that 10 years from now, nobody will have an installation manual for anything, that everything will autonomously connect with everything else, probably using voice recognition, and it can't come fast enough. Because there's no such thing as documented installation instructions that are so simple that anyone can do it. Whether it's a bookcase or a smartphone, frustration is part of the process. Not a great way to advertise your brand, is it? Well, that's it for today's episode of End of the Line, brought to you by Engineering.com. For our deeper engineering series, visit Engineering.com TV for exclusive shows like Manufacturing the Future, Designing the Future, and the Engineering Roundtable, not found on our YouTube channel. The links are in the description below. Thanks for watching.